the alarm goes off. And in that first breath, before the world rushes in, before the obligations stack up, before the noise begins, there is a window. A small, quiet, extraordinary window. Most people slam it shut without realizing it was ever open. They reach for their phones. They flood their minds with other people's emergencies, other people's opinions, other people's versions of what the day should mean. And just like that, the window closes. The mind that was yours, fully, completely yours, becomes a crowded room. And the rest of the day is spent trying to find yourself inside all that noise. But what if you used that window differently? What if those first moments, before the world gets its hands on you, were spent speaking directly to the part of you that is still listening? The part that is still open? The part that is still soft enough to be shaped? The ancient Stoics understood something that modern neuroscience is only now beginning to confirm. The words you speak to yourself in the morning are not just words. They are instructions. They are the code your brain runs on for the next 16 hours. They are the lens through which every experience of your day will be filtered and interpreted. Speak words of fear in the morning, and your brain will find evidence of danger everywhere. Speak words of limitation, and your mind will confirm every reason you cannot move forward. But speak words of power, words of clarity, words rooted in 2,000 years of Stoic wisdom. And something begins to happen inside you that no circumstance can easily undo. Today I am giving you 5 words, not affirmations you repeat mindlessly, not hollow phrases that sound good but feel empty. 5 words, each one a key, each one unlocking a different door in the architecture of your mind. Each one backed by both ancient philosophy and the science of how your brain actually changes. These 5 words spoken every morning with intention will begin to rewire the neural pathways that have been running your life on autopilot. Stay with me through every word. Because the 5th one, the one most people are never taught, may be the most important thing you hear today. If something in you already knows this is what you needed, drop "I am ready to rewire" in the comments right now. Let's begin. Before we get to the 5 words, you need to understand why this works. Not because I am asking you to take it on faith, but because when you understand the mechanism, the practice becomes unshakable. Your brain contains approximately 86 billion neurons, and those neurons are constantly forming connections, pathways called synapses, based on what you think, feel, and repeat. Neuroscientists call this neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to physically reorganize itself based on experience and repetition. Donald Hebb, one of the founding fathers of neuroscience, described it this way: neurons that fire together, wire together. Every thought you repeat becomes a pathway. Every pathway you repeat becomes a highway. Every highway you repeat becomes your default way of seeing the world. This means your habitual thoughts are not just passing through your mind, they are building it. The person you are today is the sum of the thoughts you have repeated most. Now here is where the Stoics were centuries ahead of their time. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his Meditations, a private journal never meant for public eyes, that the quality of your life is determined by the quality of your inner conversation. He did not have the language of neuroscience, but he understood the truth it describes. Change what you say to yourself and you change who you become. These 5 words are not magic, they are medicine. Taken every morning, they heal the patterns that have held you back and build the ones that will carry you forward. The first word is present. Say it out loud, present, not as a destination, not as a performance, as a declaration of where you choose to live. Most people are physically in their morning, but mentally somewhere else entirely. They are in last Tuesday's argument. They are in next month's worst-case scenario. They are in a version of themselves from 3 years ago that made a mistake they still haven't forgiven. They are everywhere except here. And here is the only place where life is actually happening. When you wake up and speak the word present, you are giving your mind its first instruction of the day. Come home. The Stoics called this the practice of the present moment. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Confine yourself to the present, not because the past is meaningless or the future doesn't deserve consideration, but because the present is the only territory where your power actually exists. You cannot act in the past. You cannot act in the future. You can only ever act now." And yet research from Harvard psychologist Matthew Killingsworth found that people spend nearly 47% of their waking hours thinking about something other than what they are currently doing. Almost half your life lived somewhere that doesn't exist. When you say present every morning, you are training that 47% back toward now. You are building what the Stoics called prosoche, attention to the self in the present moment. A vigilant, awake awareness of what is actually here. Here is what this looks like in practice. You sit down to eat breakfast and your mind immediately begins cataloging everything that needs to happen today. The old pathway pulls you into the future, but you said present this morning. So there is a pause, a recognition. Right now, in this moment, there is food in front of you. There is warmth in the room. There is breath moving through your body. You are here, fully here, and from here everything is possible. Comment below, "I live here, I live now." The second word is chosen. Not chosen by fate, not chosen by luck, chosen by you. Every morning when you say chosen, you are reminding yourself of something the noise of daily life tries to make you forget. Every single thing about how you experience this day is a choice. Not the events, not the circumstances, but your response to them, your interpretation of them, the meaning you decide to give them. This is the beating heart of Stoic philosophy. Epictetus, born a slave, owned nothing, could be beaten or sold at another person's whim. Taught that no external force can determine your inner state without your permission. He said men are disturbed not by the things which happen, but by the opinions about the things. The event is neutral. Your choice of response is where your power lives. Modern psychology confirms this through what researchers call the locus of control. People with an internal locus of control, those who believe their choices shape their outcomes, consistently show higher resilience, greater life satisfaction, and stronger mental health than those with an external locus, who believe life simply happens to them. You are not a passenger in your own life. You are the one holding the wheel. When you say chosen every morning, you are reinforcing that identity. You are chosen to pause before reacting. You are chosen to find meaning inside difficulty. You are chosen to decide who you will be regardless of what today brings. Life will test this. Someone will say something that triggers you. A plan will fall apart at the worst possible moment. Something you worked hard for will not go the way you intended. And in that moment, before the automatic reaction fires, there will be a fraction of a second, a sliver of space. In that space lives your word, chosen. You are not at the mercy of this moment. You are choosing your response to it. Drop this in the comments. My response is always my choice. The third word is enough. This one will be the hardest for some of you, because you have been carrying its opposite for a very long time. Not enough, not smart enough, not successful enough, not healed enough, not far enough along, not yet, not quite, not there. That voice is not the truth. It is a pattern, a deeply worn neural pathway built from years of comparison, from systems designed to make you feel insufficient, from the gap between who you are and who you were told you should be. And every morning you wake up and accept that voice without question. You pour water on a weed and wonder why it keeps growing. When you say enough, you are not claiming you have nothing left to learn. You are not declaring yourself finished or complete. You are claiming something more fundamental, that your worth is not conditional, that your value does not live in your productivity, that you do not need to earn the right to exist peacefully in your own skin. The Stoics called this dignitas, an intrinsic dignity that belongs to every human being simply by virtue of being human. Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful man in the world, still wrestled with self-doubt in his private journals. He wrote to himself with compassion, not cruelty. He corrected himself without condemning himself. He understood that the pursuit of virtue does not require you to hate where you currently are. Psychologist Kristin Neff, whose research on self-compassion spans over 2 decades, found that people who treat themselves with the same kindness they would offer a good friend show significantly lower levels of anxiety and depression, higher motivation, and greater resilience in the face of failure. Self-compassion is not weakness. It is the foundation upon which genuine growth is built. You cannot build a strong life on the soil of self-rejection. Say enough and mean it, not as settling, not as giving up on becoming more, but as the recognition that the person standing here right now, with all their unfinished edges and unhealed places, is worthy of peace, is worthy of kindness, is worthy of the life they are working toward. The growth you want does not live on the other side of finally feeling enough. It lives inside the decision to feel enough right now and build from that place. Comment below. I am whole. I am worthy. I am enough. The 4th word is forward. One direction, one word, one non-negotiable commitment you make to yourself every single morning. No matter what yesterday looked like, no matter how many times you have started over, no matter how slow the progress feels or how far the destination still seems. Forward. The Stoics had a concept called amor fati, the love of fate, not just tolerating what happens, not just accepting difficulty with gritted teeth, but actively embracing everything that comes as fuel for forward movement. Seneca wrote, per aspera, through hardship. He understood that the path forward is never around the difficult thing, it is always through it. And neuroscience backs this up in a fascinating way. When you take even a small action in the direction of your goals, even one step, even an imperfect one, your brain releases dopamine, not as a reward for arriving, but as a signal for moving. Your brain is literally designed to reward forward motion. The problem is that most people wait until they feel ready to move forward. But readiness is not a feeling that arrives before the action. Readiness is what the action creates. You do not wait until you feel confident to begin. You begin, and confidence follows. You do not wait until the path is clear to move. You move, and the path reveals itself. Think about the last time you were paralyzed by a decision. Not because you lacked information, but because you were waiting for certainty that was never going to come before you moved. The Stoics did not wait for perfect conditions. Marcus Aurelius led armies through plague and civil war. Seneca wrote philosophy in exile. Epictetus built a school of thought from inside slavery. None of them had ideal circumstances. All of them moved forward anyway. When you say forward every morning, you are making a commitment that is independent of conditions, not forward when things improve, not forward when you feel better, not forward when the timing is right. Forward, now, with what you have, from where you are. Even if forward today means simply getting out of bed and choosing not to give up, that counts. That is enough. That is the direction that changes everything. Drop this in the comments. I move forward every single day. The 5th word, the one most people underestimate. The one the Stoics practiced with a discipline that modern culture has stripped of its depth. The 5th word is grateful. Not the grateful of Instagram captions, not the grateful of listing things that are going well when everything feels like it is falling apart. The grateful that Marcus Aurelius practiced, the kind that finds something real and specific in even the hardest morning. The grateful that Epictetus spoke about when he said, "He is a wise man who does not grieve for the things which he has not, but rejoices for those which he has." This is not toxic positivity. This is precision of attention. Your brain has something called the reticular activating system, a network of neurons that acts as a filter for the roughly 11 million bits of information your senses process every second. Because your conscious mind can only handle about 40 to 50 bits per second, your RAS decides what gets through. And here is the key. It lets through what it has been trained to look for. When you spend your mornings focused on what is missing, what is broken, what is going wrong, your RAS filters your entire day through that lens. It finds evidence of scarcity everywhere. It confirms the story you started your morning with. But when you speak the word grateful, when you deliberately direct your attention toward what is present, what is working, what is real, you retrain that filter. Your brain begins scanning for abundance instead of lack, for possibility instead of obstacle, for what is here instead of what is missing. This is not wishful thinking. This is neuroscience. And the Stoics knew it 2,000 years before the brain scans confirmed it. Marcus Aurelius began his meditations not with grand philosophical declarations, but with gratitude, specific, grounded, personal gratitude. For teachers who showed him patience, for family members who modeled integrity, for advisors who told him hard truths. He was the most powerful man alive, and he began his days by counting what he had been given. When you say grateful every morning, you are not denying your pain. You are not pretending the hard things are not hard. You are making a choice about where your attention begins. And where your attention begins determines where your day goes. Find one thing. It does not need to be profound. The warmth of the room, the fact that your lungs are working. Someone in your life who, despite everything, is still there. The simple truth that today exists and you are still in it. One real thing, said with intention, and feel your brain shift. Comment below. I choose to see what I have been given. 5 words: present, chosen, enough, forward, grateful. Say them now, out loud if you can. Feel each one land differently. Present brings you home to now. Chosen restores your agency. Enough releases the weight of unworthiness. Forward commits you to motion. Grateful retrains your mind to see abundance. Together they are not just a morning ritual. They are a complete philosophy, a Stoic architecture for the inner life. Spoken once, they are just words. Spoken every morning with intention, with the understanding that you are talking to the most important mind you will ever have access to. They are transformation. Your brain does not change in dramatic moments. It changes in the quiet repetition of small ones. Every morning you say these words, you are laying one more brick in the structure of the person you are becoming. You will not see the results tomorrow, maybe not even next week. But one morning, and this morning will come, you will wake up and realize something has shifted. The automatic fear that used to greet you has been replaced by something steadier, a quiet certainty, a groundedness that does not depend on everything going right. That is not luck. That is the result of the work you are doing in the mornings no one sees, in the moments before the world gets in the window that most people slam shut. You are learning to keep it open. Marcus Aurelius was not born wise. Epictetus was not born free. Seneca was not born peaceful. They built those things. Word by word, morning by morning, in the private discipline of the inner life. And so can you. You do not need perfect circumstances. You do not need a different past. You do not need to wait until life gets easier. You need this morning. You need these words. You need the willingness to begin. Present, chosen, enough, forward, grateful. 5 words, spoken every morning, with the understanding that your mind is listening, that it is waiting for instructions, that it is ready, right now, today, to begin changing. The window is open. What will you speak into it? Drop present, chosen, enough, forward, grateful in the comments below. Make it your commitment. Let this community witness it. And if this video reached something in you, if something shifted while you were watching, share it with one person who needs to hear this today. One person whose morning could be different because of these words. Subscribe to this channel, because this is not a single conversation. This is a journey, and every week we go deeper into the wisdom that builds a life worth waking up for. Thank you for being here. Thank you for keeping the window open. Now go speak to your mind like it deserves to be spoken to, because it does, and so do you.